There's a few rules that I want to go over real quick. We do have a group of students who are online right now, so if you can please try to keep the voice level down during the tour so they're able to hear Ryan speak as well. And I'd like to join the clips, which I'm going to shop and we'll get started.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Well, thanks again for coming to Water Tower. So, you guys are all from Pueblo? Most everyone? Everyone from Pueblo? Everyone else? Where are you guys from? Oh, good deal. Awesome. Well, so if you guys know the history of this building, it is actually the oldest FDA certified plant in the world. It's really interesting that that happened in Pueblo, Colorado. Most people don't know that. Where you're standing right now, this is the firehouse entrance. So if you guys look at this door you just walked in, you'll see that whole thing slides on the rail up on top. Right where you're standing is where they used to back the fire trucks in. They had an entire city all to itself in this building. So they had their nursing station, their own food preparation, their own water desalination. Even they did all of the packing and cutting of beef, pork, and hogs. And it was the second largest employer in our community until 1981 when it shuttered over a union dispute. It was 10 cents an hour, what they were arguing over. So 900 people lost their jobs over 10 cents. So they were also the highest paid employees in that business in the entire nation. So we got a little aggressive, we sort of overreached. So since then, though, it's been derelict and sort of vacant. You guys may have known this was probably the largest homeless camp in the entire state for quite a few decades. It is now the largest private redevelopment in the nation. So it's 6 acres under the roof, 6 acres of needing to do absolutely everything from leveling the floors, putting in lights, all the construction that you can see. Everything has to be done throughout the entire 6 acres inside. There's also another 13 acres outside. We're serviced by both Union Pacific and Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroads. We're doing a lot of things. We'll poke our head out the back and you guys will be able to see some of the rail operations as well. So if you don't know me and my background, which you probably don't, I'm born and raised in Pueblo, Colorado. I would say almost educated because someday I'm going to be smart, but I'm working on my education every day, right? I've been lucky enough to go to CSU, CU, and MIT. Right now, so my official schooling is I'm a mechanical engineer, and I worked in the railway industry for a really long time, so about 25 years. Got to work on 6 continents, very lucky. And decided after quite a few years in the rail industry, come back to Pueblo, Colorado, and focus on my hometown a little bit. Reason I came to Pueblo, back to Pueblo, there's a lot of reasons I should live in a lot of other places, business-wise, but in my humble opinion anyway, I think this is the best place on the planet. I've seen a lot of them. I would say that the upside in Pueblo, Colorado is probably better than anywhere else on the planet still today, and it's getting better almost every year right now. We have our barriers to entry into any business you want to go into, some of the lowest in the world. We can get into almost anything we want to get into. Our cost of living, some of the best in the world. We can have a really good quality of life here. The people, I don't need to tell you guys this, there's no one better than someone from Pueblo. We have some of the best people on the planet in this city. So due to that fact, I'm back here. I pulled all my investments out of everywhere else that we had anything going, and I'm putting it into basically the biggest eyesore that is probably in the Western United States. And we want to try and turn this into something that Pueblo can be really proud of. And it doesn't take New York money or Denver investors to do this. It's Pueblo, Colorado, bringing this up and showing the rest of the world that we have somewhere we can do some good things. So the way we're doing that is we're doing it in my version in a very Pueblo style, which is a really good way to do it. We're doing it as we can afford support it. We're doing it by a lot of hard work and elbow grease, and we're getting a lot of friends and family and colleagues together, and we're just taking it to the highest level we can. We're turning the dial up to 11, and we're saying, if we need it to work for 10 hours on this job, we're going to be here for at least 11, and we're going to get it done. So due to that fact, we also have attracted some really great people into this community within Water Tower Place. I'm going to show you just a few little things that we're doing. I'm going to talk to you about some of the different jobs that we have in there. But please, at any point, if you have a question, just raise your hand. Love to answer any questions as we go. If you have questions about anything. We have a lot of different businesses in this facility right now. We have a lot of technology. We have a lot of skilled labor. We have engineering. We have IT. We have pretty much anything you can think of, and a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people that are actually very interested in doing their own thing, and they're doing it in their own little niche, which is very unique in a lot of cases. But some of the businesses that are in here, I'll just give you a quick rundown. So we have a leather worker. We have a metal shop, which was just mentioned earlier. That actually started in 1946 in Pueblo, Colorado. We have IT services, which we're going to go by. You're going to actually see some real-time displays of hacking that is going on right now. CSU Pueblo, this is their downtown presence. They're doing an expansion here for their advanced learning center. We're working with Pueblo Community College. We're working with any education institution that wants to work with us. We are saying, come on in, let's work together and do great things. So if in the future, you guys have any questions and you want to get to any institution, you want to talk about any career path, we have someone that can help you. Water Tower here. We can get the experts in from business, from the education system, or anywhere else, and we'll try and help you point you in the right direction to give you guys some support. That also goes for all of Southern Colorado. So one of the things that we like to say in Water Tower here is we're trying to be the glue in the community. So anything that's happening in Trinidad, in the Valley, et cetera, we're working with all of these guys, and we are basically making sure that everyone has a path to success. So you guys are our future. Take advantage of it. Ask me questions as we're going through. And what we're going to start with, I'll let you ask questions in a minute here. But we're going to start with, we're going to go into the metal shop, the fabrication shop, and I'm going to talk to you about some of the things that are going on. You guys have any questions at the moment? Good. All right, let's wander over here. One thing I'm going to let you know, this is a working metal shop, so watch everything is either hot or sharp. So don't lean on stuff or you get dirty. Don't, handle things, you're probably going to get cut. Watch where you step. The guys are going to be in there. Just a couple of them. We have stuff sort of out of the way, but definitely just be careful where you place your hands and your feet. Cool. Come on through. So has anyone ever been in a fabrication shop before? No? Anyone ever do any welding? No? Cool. So that's really good. So this shop started in 1946. And it was the second oldest family-run business in Pueblo for time. It was what we would call a skilled labor shop. It's a job shop, though. So the difference in the job shop to same thing twice, hardly ever. Right now, so see, Alex and Jason are working on this big piercer bar is what it's for. So at the steel mill, they actually use these piercer bars through the field. Problem is they get wore out, they get damaged, they get broken and different things. So our shop does a lot of repairs for the steel mill. We do a lot of work for other companies like United Launch Alliance, Alamos Labs. We recently were cutting nuclear blast doors for nuclear submarines, all in Little Pueblo, Colorado. And we do that because Johnny's Boiler Shop is the most full job shops in the entire state. So if you look at some of the equipment that's around, that big green machine that's back behind you, that's a 250-ton press. That means 500,000 pounds of force will actually press down on it. So we can build out pretty thick. This lighter blue machine, that's a shear. That's basically like a big old scissor for cutting steel. But we can cut 14 foot of steel in seconds just by pushing the foot pedal. We also have, walk by, we have a water head. Cut up to 7 steel with water. Anything you can draw an AutoCAD, follow that outline. As we walk through the building, walk on the floor, you'll see a few drain grates that are probably about half an inch thick here and there. They'll say Water Tower Place or 303 Industries. We're all cut on the water jet. All of these guys are certified for all kinds of different things. So Jacob, our shop manager, for example, he's even certified underwater welding. Alex, structural welding, pressure vessel and pipe. Anything that you need to have welded, we can weld in this shop, and there are different certifications for each type of steel, each process, each industry. So as an example, if you have a boiler, which is a pressure vessel, right, you have to have a different certification than if you are welding on a big structural beam, like for erecting a steel building. All of these guys are exceptionally skilled. And they hate it when I say this, but Alex likes it. But they are, I would put these guys up in the top 1% probably in the nation as far as their skill set goes. So Johnny's Boiler Shop, Pueblo, Colorado, these guys can do almost anything. When you have Los Alamos Labs calling, when there's only 2 shops in the nation that can work on nuclear blast doors, and they ask some little shop in Pueblo, Colorado, you know, these guys are really, really. So we're going to wander out to the back. We do a lot of different work, like I said, for all these different companies. Do you guys have any questions at the moment as far as the metal shop goes?
I have a question. Sure. What essential skills do you think students need?
So I'll tell you this, we hire in all of our businesses for mainly attitude, more so than anything. So we need you guys to be able to learn. We need you guys to be able to have the great work ethic that if Jason is struggling with a piece of steel, you go over there right away and you help him. Right? If Alex has an issue and you see that they can help, we want that initial mindset for anyone right away. That's number one. So that motivation and that mentality is very important. What I learned going through school is that school teaches you that, and teaches the rest of the world, that you can learn something, right? So even when I did an engineering degree, I got out of school and I really knew very little. And now looking back, you know, many years later, I sort of think I knew nothing. I learned a lot afterwards. I did mechanical engineering. I actually started out electrical for 2 years, decided I didn't like it, got bored, and I changed. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I went into automotive for a full year just because I like cars and trucks. I didn't finish that either because I realized right away I didn't want to do that for a living. I like doing that for fun. I then went into mechanical engineering because it was the most diverse disciplines and I could do different things. Other skill sets for a mechanical solution. When I got out of school, I went into the railroad industry and we did technology projects for the rail industry on continents. Super interesting. The reason that I went through and did those different things is I was young. I was never an electrical engineer. I was going to electrical engineering school. I didn't know exactly what that meant. So what would have been more beneficial is for me to have gone out with an electrical engineer find out what that job was while I'm going through school and talk to people more. I didn't realize I could do that at your age. So I stumbled my way through all of this schooling, and I finally figured out, hey, I just want to do something really diverse, and I want to do something that keeps my interest and something that's challenging all the time. I personally landed on mechanical engineering. So then what did I do? I go up and I do something sort of mechanical engineering, and I use that skill set, but I learned from my employer a lot of different things. If I hadn't gone to school, they would have never even given me a chance to. So we as employers need to know that you're motivated enough, that you have enough capacity to do a job that we think is of value that we pay you for. You see the railroad over here? See the trains coming through? See the towers out there? So we're transloading right now, magnesium chloride. You know what transloading is, anyone? So transloading is when we're taking a commodity, a product, and we're taking it from one mode of transportation, we're taking it to another. So if we're taking it off a ship and putting it on a truck, we're transloading from ship to truck. In this case, we're transloading from rail to truck. So all of the magnesium chloride, which is what is used on the streets for ice melt for CDOT, comes in on a rail car. It's pumped into those tanks. We then pump it out of the tanks into the trucks that actually go onto the roads. Right? We're also doing all kinds of work for the railroads themselves. So we're doing car repairs. We're doing new tool and product development for them. We're doing any sort of this backhoe right there is actually a Union Pacific backhoe. They accidentally ran into the rail on the bottom side of that. It's about a $50,000 repair if they have to replace that differential. Johnny's Boiler Shop now, for a fraction of that price, they bring it in here. We stop drill all the cracks, we fix all of the steel, we put new skid plates underneath it, and they are in it for less than a quarter of what they would be in it for if they just had to just replace parts. So who else will do work like that? No one else probably in the state, but we do a lot of repairs because these guys are just so good. So
do you guys recycle material?
We do. We're very big into recycling. So you'll see there's little drops of steel all over the place. There's all kinds of different plastics. We do even carbon fiber. Even one of the things we're even doing is in the power consumption. We're very, very diligent, and we're trying to be very cutting edge with how we even use power. So everything that you see, like basically every aspect of the entire operation, 100% recycled. We are now running the entire building on about as much power as what just the shop used to run on, because we are doing very smart power management. We're using, you'll see on the walls here and there, and I'll try and point one out as we go back through. There'll be these little boxes on the wall. What they do is they actually monitor the power coming into every single machine, and they only give the amount of power that is needed. So they're called a variable frequency drive. Those drives keep all of the peak power down to a minimum, and it really saves us a lot of power consumption. We have a similar thing for the water, and when it comes to recycling, we don't throw anything out. We reuse absolutely everything. If you'll notice, when you came in the front door, you saw that glass table that was in the entryway. That is actually a recycled boiler here from 1931 that actually used to make locomotive boilers. So we're turning that into furniture. We have piles of what would be sort of junk in a lot of people's eyes out throughout the yard. We have one room in here, which we lovingly call the Smithsonian. Can't even walk through it. It's so crazy. They're just piled with things, but we're repurposing absolutely everything. We're making furniture out of things. We're making some art pieces out of things, and we're reusing a lot of things for our daily operations.
Is there a plan for the yard going forward, or are you just going to keep it the yard?
There is, yeah. There's so the whole place actually is going to probably have about 40-ish tenants, different tenants. So we have the artist co-op that's in here, 7-person artist co-op, ceramics, fine art, etc. We have the media center. We have the top floor is 22,000 square foot of event space. Outside, all of this sort of, each section sort of is going to be complementary to what's going on inside. The yard, what we're doing is we're actually even expanding the yard a little bit. All of this gets cleaned up. This is going to be the industrial side. The north side towards the Riverwalk is going to be what we call the quality of life side. So that is actually going to be connected to the Riverwalk. We have 2 tunnels already under the railroad tracks, which are really cool. So you'll be able to walk right from the park up into the restaurant area. So on the north side, where we have our quality of life side, that's going to be restaurants. We have 3 restaurants minimum we're bringing in. One of them is going to be rooftop patio up on the top, really nice. We have 7 rooftop patios in total. They all face Pikes Peak, really cool views. But the food court, the food market, we're going to have the brewery, the restaurant, the coffee shop, cheese manufacturing, the butcher, all of those things, quality of life, all Pueblo, of course. And all of those on the north side then will be surrounded with little parks, little mini parks, outdoor areas. We have the rail car side over there, which is really neat. We have 4 rail cars going in that are going to be permanent fixtures. One is the taco and tequila bar. One is a moving arts exhibit that changes every 6 months. One is the ramp that actually helps us get into the building. You'll actually get to walk up a rail car into the building on that side. And then the last one is the farmer's market. So, and that'll be revolving as well. So, yeah, all big game changers, yeah. So one of the things with projects like these, everyone has to be aware of, it's 6 acres. So one of the questions I get all the time is, how fast can we get it done, right? Let's just picture if you just had to tile 6 acres, right? Takes a little while. If you just had to paint, here's how this place works though. When I got it, there was not a single utility coming even to the building. So there's no power, there's no water, there's no sewer, there's no gas, nothing. So we have been working on and are still working on the infrastructure because it is so massive. There's 4 different electrical services coming in. There's 3 different gas services coming in. There are 4 different water lines coming in. There are 4 different IT communication systems coming in. Really interesting, but all of that stuff has to go into place before you start working on the things that look cool. So we're working on all of that, getting it all cleaned up. We have now removed 1.6 million pounds of homeless trash alone. And we save everything, right? We save absolutely everything. I have actually buckets of nails. That's so how extreme we are on saving things. But there's 1.6 million pounds of trash we had to pick up before we could even start. And we don't have a light switch that we could even turn on. We were in here for 18 months with miner's lights and shovels, just picking up trash for a year and a half. And then we have to pay to dispose of that as well. So when people say, hey, what's happening in a water tower, you can tell them we're cleaning up the biggest eyesore in the state, and we're doing it just by hard work. Okay. So let's wander over and go through the IT department and check them out.
Cool. Getting some attention. All right. My name is Jonas. This is Silverback Consulting. We do a lot of things. So what we are is an MSP and MSSP. What those stand for is a managed service provider and managed security service provider. What that means is we take care of essentially the middle 60% of IT, above computer repair and below software development. Anything from, hey, my printer's not working, or these emails are coming in, to my account got hacked and I need to know what all they had access to. We have done all of those things, although the printer thing happens a little bit more often. So we also manage firewalls and network equipment and computers, and remote help is 99.9% of what we do on a monthly service. So it's consistent with our customers. But when it comes to firewalls and the Right. And what are guardian things, you might turn your attention over to the TV over here. Those are two of the firewall vendors that we work with. And what that is mapping is incoming attacks coming from usually other countries, but sometimes it does happen within the same country. Those are live from their firewalls. So that just goes to show you that the cyber war, as you might have seen news articles about or hear about, it's real, it's happening, we are actively defending against it. And the thing about cybersecurity is that you do have targeted attacks against higher priority businesses like Google or Amazon. But the majority of attacks happen as a matter of opportunity, meaning they're just poking around to see who's easy. That includes smaller businesses, local businesses. We've had smaller companies with less than 10 computers get hacked, and we have to go in there and remove software that's malicious and update policies to block certain IP addresses so that those attacks don't keep coming in and block that opportunity from continuing to happen. So thankfully, we work up. That doesn't happen all that often because we keep things up to date. That we don't have to do that all the time. Still, some things happen once in a while, which is why this is an ever-evolving process.
Really interesting. They work for all kinds of big companies, all kinds of small companies. We actually have people, friends of ours in Pueblo, Colorado, they get hacked, and it winds up being financially detrimental to, actually being hacked successfully. So these guys really are the prime of cybersecurity in a lot of different ways, hardware and software.
Basic networking to specializing more in network security, that would be CompTIA. And they issue certifications like that one on the test when you complete a course. So that is also very much looked for in the industry. So not even necessarily college, if that's not necessarily your route, that you still have an interest in that, there are still other options. And it's basically a trade school for IT and cybersecurity. So, and it's a lot faster.
Yeah, which is good. Question.
Oh, sure. What's your favorite and least favorite thing about the film?
Oh, favorite thing and least favorite. Favorite thing.
Favorite's me, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Favorite thing is probably getting to help resolve issues for people that really don't know computers very well. And they're like, this is not my thing. I don't want to deal with it. I'm grateful I have you guys to take care of this for me. Least favorite is the people that don't understand the value of what we do. And also just straight up don't listen. And it's going to happen everywhere. Every workplace is going to have something like that. But yeah, we see that a fair amount where it's like, told you over and over again, what you're doing is a really bad idea and it will come back to bite you. And then 6 months later, oh no, this went so wrong. I'm like, yeah, I wonder why that happened.
Any other questions?
When you're helping someone, you still have to ask if it's plugged in.
Sometimes, especially with monitor. I turned on my computer, but my monitor won't come on. Did you turn on the monitor? No. My mouse isn't working. Did you turn on the mouse? Is it plugged in?
Oh,
That absolutely happens. That whole IT crowd. Hello, IT. Have you turned it off and on again? That's real. It's very much real. Anybody else?
Okay. What's the biggest business you've saved from a cyber attack?
They saved $1.3 million from a local contractor. So one of our friends, right? $1.3 million they saved from getting that taken out of their bank account.
So the type of businesses that we help are anywhere from just a handful of computers to one of our businesses combined has about 70. So it's all over the scale. Anybody else? Yes. Sometimes actually, we have customers in California and in Florida, so we do actually use those sometimes to find out, okay, when are they actually going to be available? When are they out of office so we can do this thing? So yeah, it does actually come in handy. It's a managed email account. We have an administrator access that we can go in and reset passwords and unlock accounts. So most of the time, yes, in that situation. Although we mostly work with Office 365, but for some customers and some of the more that we may be getting, we do absolutely work with Gmail, or as it's known in the business environment, G Suite. G Suite. They changed their names a few years ago. I forget which one's old and which one's new. All right, well, thank you guys for stopping by.
So we also have a lot of different other entrepreneurs in the building that do all kinds of different things, like I was talking about earlier. And like I said earlier, we have a lot of different facets to this development, this redevelopment, and this cleanup of Pueblo. So right now, though, if you take this room just as an example, one of our other businesses that we have is we have a construction company. So that construction company also requires HVAC, so heating, air conditioning, and ventilation, plumbers, electricians, framers, finish carpenters, you name it. It's all of those people do really well and are skilled trades that are undoubtedly valuable to what we are trying to do in almost any business, right? What we're doing at Water Tower, though, takes all of those sort of in-house. So we hire a lot of subcontractors as well. So maybe it's an electrical firm that does just high voltage electrical. Maybe it is a plumber that does something very specific with plumbing, but a lot of things we do in-house with our own guys as well. Same thing applies across the board for all of the skilled trades. We look first at who are you as a person? Are you motivated? Do you have the capacity to learn? And do you have a really good ethic in general? Then also, do you have a good work ethic? We want to surround ourselves with good people. And that's what most good companies are wanting to do these days, right? So like you guys here, do you know what you want to be? Not yet? And I don't think you need to know. But what I do think you need to do is you need to try a lot of different things and talk to a lot of different people and see what those trades and those professionals do as a daily occurrence, right? So my suggestion is you're not supposed to know exactly what you want to do. Most people don't. I'm 50, I still don't know if I really know what I want to do, right? I know I want to be challenged. I know I don't want to be bored. I know I don't want to do the same thing all the time. There are other people that want the exact opposite. They want very structured daily events. So those people, a lot of them want to do manufacturing or something on an assembly line because then they learn their job, they don't have to think about it too much, they wind up getting really good and proficient at it, and you do that same thing over and over, and it is very fulfilling, and it's a good thing because you're building something, you're making a good wage, but it's different for every individual. So, do you know what you want to do when you grow up? You want to do something on your own, right? Yeah. Cool. So that's another thing that a lot of people want to do is they want to be their own boss, right? I think that's a great thing to do, and a lot of entrepreneurs want to do that, and a lot of young people say that as just a canned response as well as what they truly want to do in their heart. People ask me a lot of times, though, what does that take to be your own boss and to start something? So I give a couple different examples, but the best, easiest example is, so if you want to do something all on your own and say you want to build houses, we'll just take anything like that, right? What do you have to do first? So you got to you have to learn that industry a little bit, right? You have to have some knowledge about what's going on in that industry, and you have to know what step 1 and what step 1001 looks like. So you need an education to do that, no matter what it is you're doing, right? So you have to get that education, be diligent, but in a lot of cases you have to go far beyond what school is going to do because you have to know more than just what that book told you. So you need to learn a lot of information. So number one, go out and learn whatever it is you're trying to work with. Two is you then need to fund that, right? So how do you fund that? Well, how about let's try and kill two birds with one stone. Why don't you go work for someone in the industry for a little while, learn a few things. A, you're getting the education. B, you're actually getting some money in as well at the same time. If I were to, right out of school, if I were to have gone out and started my own engineering business, I would have failed, 100%. Never would have made it. I did not know enough not because I wasn't smart enough, but because I didn't have enough experience. And I didn't know what was important and what was not important. So my suggestion always is, if there's something that you really want to do, try and work in that industry, save as much of your money as possible, because what's going to happen if you take that next step, you're going to spend the next couple of years scraping nickels together trying to pay the bills, because it's really hard doing startups, right? And it costs money to start things up. Keep that job, do something on the side, till it starts building to where you can't afford not to move over, would always be my suggestion. So in general, I would say it's back to that attitude though. If you're going to do something on your own, everything we talked about where we're hiring for a really good attitude and we need someone very motivated, you need that times 10 for yourself, because you're going to have a lot of really hard times. It's going to be really difficult, but in the end, if you can stick it out and it's multiple years, it's really rewarding as well, because then you can sort of do your own thing, right? And you can carve your own path. But it's tough getting there, so don't be fooled. Any other questions? Yeah. Sorry. Oh, yes. So we use this right now for a conference room. It is actually what's going to be the maker space. So the maker space is actually for about 22 years, I started my own thing. It was a long time. You could do it a lot quicker. I did that though because I was getting an education that I could not purchase ever. So, and I was just very fortunate to keep working in that industry for a long time. So, but a lot of people, I'd say the average probably is, you need 10 years in through there. Yeah, I might be twice as slow as everyone. Took me 20, but.
Do you have any more tips for us?
I think hopefully I got the point across. Attitude, number one, right? Integrity is what you do when no one's looking. So have that integrity, have a great attitude, be motivated. Don't waste time on video games and things that are not of value to you in your future. If you're not going to be the next NFL quarterback football star, spend as much time as you want having fun playing football, but make sure you're doing something to advance your life as well, and that football or gaming or other things aren't getting in the way of moving you forward to have a really good life when you're 50, right?
What are some of the big obstacles you face?
There's a lot of obstacles. A lot of it comes down to regulation in a lot of cases. I am the least political guy on the planet. I have no social media, don't want anyone to even know my name. But I have been pulled into politics a little bit. And the reason I have been pulled into politics is because regulation and politicians stand in the way a lot of times of a lot of things that you want to do. And you have to understand that landscape to be successful. It's very important how you vote. It is very important who you vote for. And the one thing I try to get across, we have probably every politician in the state has been in this room and has done different meetings at Water Tower. And why do they do that? They do that because it's a successful project and it's a little bit glitzy and they want to be tied to something positive. Every time I introduce any of them to any of these groups, the first thing they ask me is, are you a Republican or a Democrat? I always say, I am smart enough not to hide behind any political party. The reason I say that is because on both sides of the aisle, people are voting with party instead of voting on an issue. So what I would ask all of you guys to do is to think about the actual topic. Do not go along with what your grandmother or your neighbor or what I even say as far as, am I gonna vote Democrat, Republican, for someone, against someone? Irrelevant. All of that is irrelevant. Vote on the issue. Vote for the person. Vote for the actual best future for you. And so I think one of the big hurdles is changing our world, and you guys are the future of this, to be smarter and not hide behind anything. You get to make your own decision, right? If someone says they're a Republican, Democrat, or independent, should make no difference at all. If they're doing something that you disagree with, you vote against them. If they're doing something you agree with, you vote for them. So I would say one of the things that is a hurdle is the political system, and it would be great for all of us in Pueblo, Colorado to change that. The other issue is funding, right? It is always hard. You can have the best idea in the world, but if you don't have enough money to execute it, you have to figure out how money works. And you have to figure out what is good debt and what is bad debt. Debt is still debt. You still owe someone, right? Be very careful when you owe someone. If you can just work harder and not take on debt, best case you can be in, right? That's the best possibility of any situation. But if you have to go after debt, you have to be very smart. Talk to a lot of people that are successful. Not people that say they're successful, people that you know are successful because they've done it. Talk to multiple bankers. Talk to investment personnel. Talk to other business owners. One of the big disconnects is always people who have actually done something versus people who say they're doing something. So make sure you go out and talk to the right people when you're going into debt for any reason. Also take the smallest amount of debt and put the most amount of work in you possibly can. Pays off in the long run. The other issue is with money, it's your burn rate, it's your spending, right? You can go get a loan for $1 million tomorrow and be a millionaire. Great. Another year, come talk to me because now you're $1 million in debt and you're upside down, and do you have anything that's actually going to carry you forward in the long run? So, or did you actually spend that money very wisely? Didn't go spend it on, drinking at the bar. You didn't spend it on soda pop and games and other things that are not of value, that are going to bring you value in the future. Everything, my mom had a really great statement. She would say, you can buy whatever you want. Your money, you're working for it. But tell me, is that going to be of any value to you tomorrow? That's how we made our decisions, right? So, do I have, jet skis and boats and all kinds of other crazy things? I don't. And do I want some of those? Some days, but I'd rather rent it for a day than actually go out and buy it for the whole year and have the maintenance and everything else, right? So think about that as well. There's always a way to balance your life with fun and good things, and recreation, and having a bright future and being smart and diligent about work and your profession and your livelihood and your family's livelihood, right? Long run, you're gonna be responsible for someone. So keep that in mind. Any other questions? And I thank you guys again so much for coming to Water Tower. I want to again state, if you have any questions ever, I'm not here all the time, but there's always someone around. You can always come in, leave a message, say, hey, I want to talk to Ryan, I want to talk to someone at Water Tower, the guys at the IT department, any of the entrepreneurs, any of the people at any of the universities, any of the education system. If you want a meeting with the mayor, we will get you one, no problem. We actually just want to make sure that you know you have a place to come, outreach, help, support, and we will be happy to help you guys in any way possible because we'd love to see y'all be super successful. Thanks again.